I published already in April of this year, of 2023, a whole article about this war which the Iranians are preparing. This article was based on information which I got from Iraq, from friends who live in Iraq.
The big plan of attacking Israel
Yes, from all the fronts together.
This episode with Dr. Mordechai Kedar was very insightful and interesting, so we decided not to cut anything out. Instead, we broke it into 5 shorter episodes to make it easier for you to watch and listen. You can find all of those videos in our channel, Conflict Voices. Please don't forget to subscribe.
If you're saying now that it was much easier for Jews to live under Islam, so how can you blame or
you
connect
have to,
the Islam to
right.
those actions?
Now we come to reasons which are more, let's say, political reasons. Hamas was armed, equipped, trained, sponsored by Iran and Qatar. Iran gave the weapons, Qatar gave the money, and together Iran and Qatar created Hamas, or made it as big as it was until October 7th, and prepared it to a big war, which will be launched at 1 minute, combined with Hamas in Gaza, Hezbollah from Lebanon, the militias, 17 militias which they have in Syria, like 50 militias which they have in Iraq, and Houthis in Yemen.
Okay.
Hoping that Arabs in Judea and Samaria also will revolt, and maybe
in
Arabs inside Israel as well. The Iranians designed this big war by proxies, means not by states, but by organizations, because organizations are not bound by international law. They can do whatever they like.
Okay.
They are not obliged to operate according to the international law. They are exempt because they are not states. Israel is a state, so it is bound by the international law. So this equation actually gives them an advantage, because they can do to Israel all kinds of things which Israel is not allowed to do, because Israel is a state.
That's your explanation.
Well, this is one of the reasons
Assad
why
in Syria or other.
one of the reasons why Iran always operates organizations, not states.
Okay.
And they actually implant their organizations everywhere when they have no government, or shaky government like in Syria or in Lebanon. And they actually take the country from within, by Hezbollah, for example, but they are not bound by the international law. They can do whatever they like launching missiles against civilians, which is forbidden.
But
Because according to the international law, you should keep out civilians. You can maybe fight against an army, but not against civilians. But here, since they are not about, they can do whatever they like against Tel Aviv, against Haifa, against whatever they like. So this is what they did. And they planned to have a big war against Israel, and according to their assumption, Israel will collapse within 3 days. Because a whole barrage of missiles which will fall on Israel, on power stations, on communication centers, on army bases, on air force bases, on junctions, water supply, whatever. Israel will be ground within 3 days. All the reserve soldiers are still at home. They will not be able to get to their bases. And Israel, in addition to these missiles, also incursion of forces, armed forces, like what we saw in Gaza, also from the north. And they will catch thousands of Israelis in Nahariya, in the cities like Nahariya, Shlomi, Kiryat Shmona, Rosh Pina, including the communities within them, the kibbutzim, the farms within them. So Israel will be overwhelmed by this attack, and Israel in 3 days will be finished. No Americans in the scene, no Europeans in the scene. They are still asleep. They don't see what happens.
Okay.
And all these proxies will do the job. Iran apparently will not take part actively.
Okay.
Means Iran will stay out of the, of course, they will give the orders, but not send anything, so Iran will come out intact. This was the plan, the satanic,
To destroy Israel.
to destroy Israel, the diabolic plan of the Iranians, how to destroy Israel, and the world will accept it, because this will be the situation. What Hamas did on October 7th was against the Iranian plan.
Okay, I wanted to ask you about it.
Against. The Iranians and Hezbollah, by the way, were caught in surprise. They did not know that the Hamas leaders are planning a separate attack, because what they prepared is a joint attack. Hamas did it because they wanted to stop the Israeli-Saudi negotiations, because they were afraid that if Saudi Arabia normalizes relations with Israel, all the Arab world and the Islamic world, like Indonesia and Malaysia and many other Islamic countries, will follow, and the Palestinian cause will be forgotten forever. Because if the whole Islamic world makes peace with Israel, so who will care about the Palestinians? And they wanted actually to pull the rug under the feet of the Israelis and the Saudis as well. And they started this attack towards the morning of October 7th, because there was a music festival in that area, which actually gave them some more thousands of potential prisoners or potential hostages. And this is why they timed the attack to the early morning of October 7th, already after sunrise, so they cannot hide in the darkness, these kids. And unfortunately, they succeeded.
Can you tell me where did you read or learn this information from? Because
first of all, I published already in April of this year, of 2023, a whole article about this war which the Iranians are preparing. This article was based on information which I got from Iraq, from friends who live in Iraq.
The big plan of attacking Israel with Hezbollah and
Israel, yes, from all the fronts together. I got the information from Iraq because the pro-Iranian militias in Iraq got the order to start preparing to a war which will be combined with others, with other parties as well. And I published it in April. It was published in Hebrew, in English, in Arabic, in other, and even Yahya Sinwar actually once talked about this article.
Really?
Yeah, he spoke. I saw it on YouTube. And
what did he say?
This was the Iranian plan.
What did he say about the article?
He said that the Israelis are shaking and shivering out of fear. And look at the article of Mordechai Kedar. Yeah,
Nice.
that's what he...
Nice.
Well, first of all, he reads Hebrew.
Yeah, I know.
Secondly, it was translated to Arabic. So apparently he read it either in Hebrew or in Arabic. So
You're speaking as well about the specific tactical attack or tactical plan of Hamas. But I'm thinking as well, you're speaking about, first of all, about trying to stay in this front line, right? And to divide Israel to two. And from the other hand, we saw a lot of Hamas soldiers that were raping and doing other activities, which is obviously against a big plan, a strategic plan to fight the Israeli army and to hold those places. So I'm trying to understand what was the plan.
They had orders which allowed them to rape.
First of all, I'm assuming that they got surprised as well from the success of this attack. They weren't expecting to
Israel assumed that Hamas are deterred.
I know.
And contained in Gaza. In Israel, of course, there were signs. There were some soldiers who saw and heard, and now it is under investigation who knew and what they knew. But little by little, during the last 2 months since it started, information came that in the army there were voices which tried to warn everybody, hey guys, these people are preparing something big. Maybe they didn't know how big, but definitely there were some people who knew, but all the others were caught in this conception that such a thing cannot happen.
But do you think that Hamas prepared or thought that they're going to achieve those goals in this attack?
Of course, they were
They
training.
thought about it?
They were training about it, yes. They had, but the people on the ground in Hamas, they didn't know the timing. Only a few hours before the attack, they were gathered in one place and they told them that now, towards the morning, we are starting this attack against Israel.
And you're saying that the big plan was to divide Israel or to go to the West Bank or something like that and divide the...
Yes, this was the original plan.
And what happened
to
this plan?
They
Because they could, I imagine. The army wasn't there.
Apparently they were caught also in surprise that it was too easy.
Okay.
Because it was very easy for them to run into Israel. Look, they attacked army bases which are kilometers inside Israel. Kilometers inside Israel. They came to Ofakim, they came to Sderot, which are kilometers also inside Israel. And yes, when we were caught in surprise, it means that we are surprised. We didn't have the army forces, we didn't have police, we didn't have any fighters to combat them. And it took hours until here in Israel people understood what is happening. And the picture of the battle was unclear for hours until I think the afternoon of October the 7th. And but thanks to soldiers who ran to that place and gave a big fight, Israel succeeded to kick all the Hamasniks out from Israel after like 2 days of fight. And now come the war against Hamas, because here in Israel now we understand that we cannot live in this country alongside with Hamas in Hamastan. We thought that there is a way, yet they proved that there is no way to live with them. And Israel is determined, and we are talking now on Monday, December 4, Israel is still determined to eradicate Hamas until their last fighter, and to take away all their military equipment and weapons and everything, in order to prevent such a thing in the future. Now, the question is, okay, let's assume that Israel will succeed in this very, very hard mission to get rid of Hamas, not only the military, but also the civil, because they actually ran a state. Ministry of Health and Ministry of Economy and Ministry of Education, everything. So what do you do with all these officials who were not fighting, but taking care of their health, whatever? This question will have to be dealt with. But definitely everybody here in Israel agrees that the military power of Hamas should be destroyed totally. And it also means to get rid of all the tunnels which they dug under Gaza. Because as long as they have tunnels, they can hide, prepare, train, and do whatever they like or accumulate missiles and all kinds of other weapons.
We hope you enjoyed this episode with Dr. Kedar. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel Conflict Voices and see the rest of the videos with Dr. Kedar.